Hello, everybody. I'm Dark Knight 316, and this is the Roundtable Podcast. I'm with my special guest,
Robert Reeler Gaming.
So, what'd you bring us today for drinking?
Both of these. One of them is a rain. This one's cold, actually.
I got the Bang Energy Blue Raspberry.
And this one's a raspberry. So,
and then I'm drinking
similar to that one.
Drinking it with my Golden Knights mug again.
I just got my standard mug. No new mugs these days.
And then, of course, they're not sponsored by us, but if they want to, they can always contact me. So let's see what this is like.
Can't tell. There's no specific color in it, but cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. Oh, it's pretty good.
That one's super cold.
So, the Donkey Kong Bananza official trailer has dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Want you to see how you think it looks. So here's the trailer here.
This one we're not going to have
audio.
We're not going to have audio.
No.
This is a dancing game?
No, it's like the adventure game, kind of like a Mario game, but with DK.
I don't know.
No, this is supposed to be the DK that's in the Donkey Kong Classic game. The one where Donkey Kong Jr. trying to save DK. That's why he looks way different from the Donkey Kong that we're used to in like Mario Kart or in the Mario movie.
It looks like Funky. Is that his name? Mm-hmm. Funky?
It does. And then there's Paulina.
I mean, I don't know.
That's the trailer for it.
I don't know if it... I mean, it's coming out soon, so... I don't know.
I think it comes out at the end of this month or in July.
I can always try it. But it didn't entice me to pre-order it,
yeah.
So...
Basically, like, you're not really collecting like bananas or anything. What you're doing is you're collecting gems. So you're breaking things down to go get the different gems.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're kind of like splunking, basically. So you'll get abilities from these different gems that can break different parts of the world and stuff like that.
Okay.
And what's weird is you're saving Paulina, though. I wouldn't think that you're saving a princess, because that Mario was trying to save that princess, not Donkey Kong saving it.
So how does Donkey Kong though, like this ape falls in love with a human girl?
Well, that's how King Kong was too. So it just
I don't know.
like that.
I mean, I got to see more of the trailer, so I think it's more. Once we
I can show you more of the trailer.
Nah, I mean we can look at it later too. But what you showed me wasn't that?
Because you can see the. Let's see. Because they have the other one here. I'm not gonna watch the first full 17 minutes.
I don't want to watch 17 minutes of it.
But we'll go watch more into it. This is the official Nintendo of America one. So you can kind of see more of it.
So I don't know, but
so you saw this part.
Yeah.
So here's
here's more of the, a little bit.
Yeah. Here's more of the gameplay. So you're climbing up, and you're it's an open world. So they're showing the different worlds. You can punch things like that to go destroy, kind of like Minecraft type style like that, to go find the part. To me, this doesn't seem like it would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like Mario 64 or anything like that, where you got to find stars or whatever like that. You're just basically collecting these gems. I mean, hopefully, it changes, when it comes out, but it doesn't seem like Like, see,
Well,
like
he
this
got
one
a
here,
banana there.
he got like a crystal banana, and then that gives him the different powers and stuff like that. But to me, it doesn't seem like there's like different things to, like in Mario 64, it's like, oh, you go to a world, you click all these stars, you go to the next one. This one is like, you just break a bunch of stuff.
I wonder if you automatically have those or you learn those abilities.
I think you learn the abilities when you get those special, like crystal bananas.
Yeah, because it wouldn't make sense. You already have like the dive punch ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
Yeah. So it's like,
I mean, I don't know. I might just get it for collection, but it doesn't look like a.
To me, it doesn't look like it's gonna be fun. Like, it looks like you'll probably like do this loop a little bit, and then you'll get bored of it. Because to me, it doesn't seem like. I mean, he has his traditional hand slap, which is cool, but I don't think it's gonna be anything worth that wild up on there.
I don't know. I might just get it for my collection. We'll see.
But speaking of the Switch 2s, did you hear about the truck getting robbed? He was at a truck stop, and he noticed his back cage was open, and apparently this truck held a bunch of Switch 2s, and they said on the news that over 3,000 Switch 2s were stolen off this truck. Now, to me, it seems kind of weird because you're at a truck stop and then the Switch 2s get stolen. Like, one, how did they know Switch 2s were on this truck? Like, they didn't really explain that on the news on how this guy knew it. And then also the truck driver was saying that he doesn't know if the bed of his cabin was open at the prior stop or if it was just at this stop. But he only noticed it at this stop. So to me, it's kind of fishy on how like this operation went, because if he's at a traditional truck stop, there's cameras and stuff around, so they should be able to catch these people. But
they should.
I don't know. What do you think about it?
It just seems a little weird. Also, wherever this guy, whoever he was employed for, could be a little bit for negligence on his truck.
Because it was going to a GameStop in Texas, I believe it was.
Well, a lot of these guys, they are responsible for their truck. So even if he made that mistake, he's still responsible for his truck. But whatever the load is and things like that, he needs to be able to make sure everything was good. But even if he went and got a truck stop, that means whoever inspected it, if he inspected it as well, he never knew that his truck was open. So the person, when he made the stop, that person who inspected his truck didn't say, hey, your truck's open. So,
and even though, like, what sounds weird to me is the people who stole the Switch 2s on there, like, did they had to have known that the Switch were on there, because like,
or they were just,
I mean, unless you're gonna just steal random and it just happened to be it, but that's kind of like weird on how it is. So like, there has to be more to it, but from the last time I saw the thing, they haven't had any more information on it. All it was a going from a truck stop going to a GameStop to deliver these to the GameStops in Texas. Which, when I heard about it, then I was like, it's kind of weird, because I know with the truck order, like, only the truck driver knows what's on there, and then like the purchase orders for the place that is delivering knows. And then of course, like, if he gets at those truck stops, when they stop and they inspect the stuff, like, then those people know. But it's like, I don't think that they're going to catch you. But Nintendo says, oh, don't worry, because if those gets sold anyway, they can deactivate those Switch 2s anyway, which is scary in the fact anyway, because then that means that Nintendo controls your console anyway. So if they don't like what you say online, or you say something bad about the company, they can just shut off your Switch 2.
Imagine you're somebody who's famous and it's like political or something, and they're like, we don't agree with that, we're gonna shut you down. And they figure out your console as maybe you're live streaming something, and then they just shut it down,
and they brick it so that then you can't use it. Because I've seen these ones where the people have like this like Mio, which was it's illegal, because you're putting all these Switch ROMs up on it, but they used it on the Switch 2 to see if it worked, because it's supposed to be backwards compatible, and it bricked their system, and then now they can't use their system at all. And it's not like you can create a new username or factory reset the thing. It doesn't work at all, and then they won't let you return it or anything like that. So I'm like, is this going to be the future of gaming? So now is Microsoft going to do the same?
Probably.
PlayStation going to do the same, So there's like, oh, they don't like what you say, or you insult their game, then they're going to brick your system up on there if you have a high following.
It's
on
more
YouTube
like a you need to
obey or whatever.
Yeah, I think more of like a control kind of thing. But then again, I think a lot of it's like they're not really going to pay attention to. I think, like, unless you're doing something illegal, I don't think they're gonna really pay attention also to your system as well. I don't think that they're gonna run some kind of software where they can look at 3 million Nintendo Switches and go, I don't like that person, I don't like that person, I don't like that person. But I think that if they were to be able to determine if you're running, like, let's say illegal software, then they can break it and stuff like that. Because I don't think that they're going to have the time to be able to say,
no, they'll probably have,
let's look at 3 million of these.
Somebody complaining, be like, oh, I don't like the way that this person talked to me up on it, and they'll report them, and then they'll go and they'll check, and then they find it
Speaking
that
of
way.
Nintendo Switch, I saw this video the other day. This guy had a Nintendo Switch 2, and he was transferring over his Pokemon data from the Nintendo Switch 1, and he lost the data. And he had 1,000 hours. I was trying to figure out how you put in 1,000 hours into this current gen Pokemon, because I tried to play one of them from last Scarlet, Johansson, Violet, Ola. I don't know the ones from last one. Scarlet or Violet. I can't remember which one I started, but like I was playing that, and I was like, the Pokemon I couldn't get into the, like, which Pokemons I like and stuff like that, compared to what I'm used to with Pokemon Red and Yellow and all those guys. Yeah. So I was looking at it, I was like, man, it sucks that this guy or girl, I don't know, they didn't say who it was, but that this person lost like 1,000 hours. But then I can't see how you played 1,000 hours in this game.
But think about it for a different game that maybe you do like. So let's say, for instance, Final Fantasy 14. You can easily put in 1,000 hours with your buddies and stuff like that. You transfer your save file over to PS5, and then it doesn't.
I just can't see with Pokemon though how you could put 1,000. Like, let's say you beat the game, you did everything. Let's say you put in 100 hours. I could say maybe 100, but 1,000, I can't see that. Like, that's hard to think.
I think with that Switch version one, you can import the OG ones and like all the other Pokemon there. So if you could do that, I think maybe they were trying to.
Because I pre-ordered the new one. I'm gonna try that one. I want to play a little bit more of that. But I was also thinking too that Nintendo needs to put on their classic versions the Pokemon like Red, Yellow, and Blue, and all those ones on their Game Boys, so we can start, like, because I'd go back and start playing that one again, because I remember the days when you and I were playing that on our Game Boys, and you got one version, I got one.
We had the little link cable
just to be able to switch back and forth, and being able to get all the badges, and
getting all the starting.
Me building up my Pidgey, because I liked Pidgey was my favorite, but like things like that. But I can't see I know it's an RPG. I know you can put in a lot of hours, but 1,000 hours.
I mean, maybe that one had it where you can take your team and face it online.
I don't know.
So maybe he was
I don't think they have
doing that to go face it online, so you could go battle.
It was just crazy. But if that person's watching and listening, like, let me know in the comments, because I'd be curious to know how you put 1,000 hours into the game. When I know, like, for me, the OG one, I could probably do that. Back in the day, I could probably do it, but now I can't. It's hard to put in 100 hours into a game. And I was thinking about that too, because
I think I did that in Claire.
The most
or
1,000 hours.
No, 100 hours.
The most I've put into a game would be White Knight Chronicles. I think I put I want to say 300 hours in the game.
Is that your most?
I think that's the most.
Or was
ever.
it Diablo?
No, I think that's the most ever. Recently, the last game I believe I put the most hours in was Final Fantasy 16.
16.
Because I got 99 hours.
Oh, 99.
And
Yeah, I had
99 hours.
168.
But like looking at, and I mean that's RPG, and you take your time, you're putting in all that. But I can imagine too, that person probably took their Switch with them, played on trips wherever they went. So I could see them putting in a lot, but
or maybe
just
it's
crazy.
not 1,000 hours of gameplay, but it's like, you know, also being idled and stuff like that. So maybe
I don't know how it worked, but 1,000 hours.
They didn't really explain too much more about that on that one.
But that's just crazy to see.
I know I saw this one article recently where they were comparing the launch titles of the PS5 versus the launch title of the Switch 2, and they showed that Switch 2 only has 2 launch titles. Everything else is their up-res, backwards compatible type one like that. And then they showed the PS5, and the PS5 had like 5 titles, which one technically wasn't a launch one because they had it on the PS4. But I'm not for sure if it came to PS4 afterwards or before and then upgraded. But with the Switch 2, they showed just the Mario Kart one, and then that Nintendo like world
I know what you're talking about. The one that they showed.
It teaches you how to do it for $10 or whatever. Those are the only 2 that are technically Switch 2 games only.
But see, what's interesting about that though is because the thing that separates Nintendo and PlayStation is Nintendo has strong first party titles. PlayStation doesn't. And you got to think too, because it's like when you think of Nintendo, what do you think of?
Mario's and
when you think of PlayStation, you don't have a
there's no
like a mascot, for instance. When you say, oh yeah, PlayStation, oh yeah, I really like, Astro Bot is probably what they're trying to
like
do.
Their new one,
But you don't have a PlayStation's never been that one where they had like they tried it with Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, they tried it with Crash.
Sorry, but they couldn't do anything like that. But when you think of Mario, you think, and Nintendo. You also think too, Mario has strong first party titles. Yeah, Mario Kart just came out. They're gonna have another Mario, whatever.
Do you think later this year that they'll reveal it?
No.
Or do you think it'll be next year?
No, I think it's gonna take at least the next 2 years. I think what they're gonna push is they'll probably push like a Metroid, another Metroid. But like you gotta think that, even they upgraded to Zelda, so they had their Zelda games that they're Breath of the Wild, like they have. So
and Tears of the Kingdom.
You have just like off the top I can think of, you have a Zelda, Mario Kart, Mario, Super Smash Brothers. You have like a Metroid Prime, let's say, Star Fox. If you wanted to go with just like a Star Fox game, like I'm trying to think of more that's just exclusive to, that's just 6. I just named off the top of my head that I can think of. But you think if they released all 6 of those games could sell 1 million copies and push through for the next year or 2.
Switches and stuff like that.
Where'd you think, if you thought about the launch titles you had for PlayStation, you had like Miles Morales, which wasn't a first party because that was a PS4 5. So you had at least had Demon Souls. What Ranch and Clank at least I think came out.
Then they said Astro Bot.
Okay, so you had the Astro's Playroom, which technically was a new one they created that was on all consoles, but they had didn't they have the PS4 version? So technically,
but it wasn't the same.
They didn't have the both, but they technically had the Astro Bot for because you use the VR. So you think those 3 you had Returnal, like a game that hasn't even had a sequel in 5 years. You haven't had a sequel on that, so you can't really think of strong first party titles, and you think even with PlayStation, like they do a whole, like the Demon Souls is more Souls game. Nintendo can have that now, so it's like you can't really see the strength of like. And I'll tell you this: I'm a PlayStation fan. PlayStation's my go-to console. I will play that because I love PlayStation, and I've been calling it Dud Station lately because they haven't had good games. And you think
that's the same with Microsoft.
Microsoft hasn't had good games either, but you can count on Nintendo. And as I know they've been putting down Nintendo Switch 2 as of late, But as you start progressing within the next 5 years, you're going to see AAA after AAA after AAA game from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Mario Tennis, a Mario...
Sony Studios
whatever.
can't be producing them.
Sony won't.
Microsoft can't be producing them. Like, Microsoft now is trying to produce it, but it's not...
But even
like,
whatever...
it's not exclusive to their system anymore. Like,
but even whatever they decide they're
on.
going to push, like, you even think with Xbox, they're trying to promote a Game Pass... and then making it kind of where you can take the Game Pass everywhere.
Yeah.
But they don't even have a strong first-party title.
They do now. They're trying to bring out the third-party ones. Like, they have, like, the Team Ninja that brought out that Setsuna game. And then they're having the Gears one coming back out. So they're having their publishers now coming out.
All those are going on the PS5.
They're all going onto their systems now. So it's like Microsoft now is not really, like, a first party studios anymore. They're more of, you know, kind of like how Dreamcast was.
Yeah, but can you imagine though if Nintendo said,
Sega,
I'm going to put Mario on PlayStation?
Yeah, like, it would kill them.
Nintendo would be down in the dumps. Like, they would lose. I think Nintendo right now could challenge PlayStation. Oh, only reason why though is because they got the newer console right now, but I think they could challenge PlayStation and take in the market as like the #1 console. Just because.
Well, I mean, with that, 3.33 million sold in 4 days or whatever it was.
But not only that, like you gotta think when PlayStation 6 comes out, backwards compatible with 5 and maybe 4. But then what are you coming out with? Like, what is your game that you're gonna anticipate to come out with? Another Ratchet and Clank? Like another Demon Souls, and that's pretty much it. Like somebody who's a PlayStation fan.
I don't think that it's going to be anything like that. I think if they come out with the launch title, it'll either be Wolverine, because that's supposed to be coming out, or it'll be probably a God of War 2.
No, I don't.
I think it'll probably be one of those two.
I don't,
because I don't see Wolverine. I mean, maybe come out next year.
I don't even see Wolverine coming out at all.
No, it's coming up on there, but it'll probably be next year. So that might be one of those cross-gen ones where it'll come out PS5 and then come out PS6 and then it'll be like remastered, whatever. Like
I don't know. I don't see that. But to talk about PlayStation, going into the next topic you had, Warner Brothers. There's a rumor that Sony is going to buy Warner Brothers, not only their like portion of their movie studio, but overall like their gaming studio. So what do you think about having, if they bought it and having like a Superman game in the realm of Spider-Man? I think that would be interesting.
Or coming out with another Batman game.
Well, I just read something recently that Batman Arkham Knight, it's celebrating its 10-year anniversary. So they haven't had a new Batman game like that in 10 years.
Well, I mean, that Rocksteady or whatever game, they made that not the Justice League, but that Suicide Squad game, and that bombed.
Yeah.
So they're thinking about rebooting the Batman Arkham game.
No, I don't.
And redoing it again because they said that,
that's what
what sold. So they're thinking about doing it, but think of that in the vein of Sony. I don't think it's gonna do good.
No, I think Batman would. If they remake it, like do like a remaster or something of the first one,
if they just keep it the same,
it would do good. If they continue on like
the story, like after,
if they create a Batman, but they create like after that trilogy, they could try to start a new trilogy. I think that would be fine. But my whole thing is I don't want a Spider-Man. A Superman. I think Superman, because you haven't seen a single player Superman game.
Well,
since like what?
The problem with Superman is he's basically a god, so you got to pretty much give him his godlike powers from the beginning. Whereas like with Batman, like you slowly can get weapons and slowly progress to make you stronger. But Superman, you can't really do that because he's already strong.
Yeah, but you can make it into the realm like you walk around New York City, kind of like you can do the exact kind of the same concept with Spider-Man, but make it with Superman, and then you can have whoever just like tie a story into it. Lois Lane gets captured. I think
maybe it could work.
I think it would work
if they make it where like Superman is younger. So like, let's say he's like in his early 20s or whatever, and he just kind of like learning how to use his powers.
That
so
could
that
be
then
interesting.
he's not already like God power where he has everything on there. So he's learning his beam. He's learning his breath. He's learning that he has all that power.
Oh,
like
I can fly.
Yeah, you can get and then that's how you can progress and like learn that.
I think that
can
would
see
be
if
interesting.
they did it like that, where he's learning his abilities and you learn as you play along with that. I think that'll work.
Even Spider-Man, you got to think like, oh, I got bit by a spider. Oh, I could jump around and do everything. But they still did the progress where it's like you're learning different Spider-Man moves. Like Spider-Man's pretty much, or if you want to talk about for a god, like look at God of War. Kratos is a god. He should already have everything for what a god has, but they still set it up to where he learns certain things. So I think they could do the same thing with Superman.
Well, I mean, in I think it was God of War 3, they made it make sense on how he lost his powers, because when he went into that river, those like wraiths or whatever grabbed him and he drained him of his power, so then he lost everything. So they could do that, something like that. But I think if they did the route of a young Superman, learning the ways of the powers, and you're learning that, I think that's probably the only way that they could probably like make it successful.
I think
but if they make it where he's already like God power and stuff like that, like you're really not going to learn anything. So it's like, to me, it's like, I think
it'd be fun to do.
Be that fun.
But then also, if Sony gets Warner Brothers, what do you think about them having like Injustice, Mortal Kombat, like games like that?
Well, I don't know if they would actually get,
because Warner Brothers produces the Mortal Kombat to release it for them.
I don't know though.
That would be part of their game division, I believe.
Yeah, but I don't know if like NetherRealms would actually want Sony to help them produce it.
Well, who else would produce their games though?
And maybe they might go independent and try to do it themselves.
THQ?
I don't know. Because that's interesting with that though too, because if they own all that Mortal Kombat and then Justice League and stuff like that, it'd be kind of...
So if they made it Injustice 3...
Yeah, because that should be the next route that they go.
Well, they made Mortal Kombat 1.
Which is rebooting the timeline.
I think what would have been... and what I like, though, is because like Mortal Kombat got my peak interest back when they're going to release this collection.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, that sounds cool. But then when you release like 11 and 1, I'm like... I kind of like. I wanted to play that Sub-Zero Mortal Kombat again.
Or the mythology one.
Yeah, like, can you release that, reboot that if you wanted to play it?
That might be in the collection, because they said that there's like 2 or 3 hidden ones that they haven't revealed.
Yeah, so that would
it could be in that collection up on there. But it could also be the Shaolin Monks one too that was on the PS2.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting just being able to play all the, and this is what when we're talking about like when you want to preserve games, I think re-releasing it with your updated graphics and things like that,
and put the quality of life,
it makes it more interesting, because it's like I probably won't buy Mortal Kombat for PlayStation or Nintendo 64, hook up my Nintendo 64 and then replay it again. Whereas I'll just download it or something, or open up a copy, play it on the PlayStation, and be able to play it through that way. So I think having the quality of life like that would be interesting, and I think I'd like that versus having to, go in
What do you think of Sony making Lord of the Rings game, like the Shadow of Mordor?
So they get something like that.
They would get Shadow of Mordor. They would get the...
Well, they have Shadow of Mordor, right? No, I'm thinking
that's WB.
Harry Potter. Is it Harry Potter?
I believe that's Harry Potter as well. Is WB. And
I mean, it's possible. I think I'm trying to think of more games, because I think Warner Brothers has like a small selection of games that are good.
I think they made a bunch of games, but not a lot of them that were really popular.
Yeah.
Up on there, because I mean, Warner Brothers recently brought out that Looney Tunes sports game, and that wasn't even really that popular, which should have been popular for a lot of people, because that gave me the Tiny Toons Acme All-Star vibe.
That was fun.
Up on it, but apparently it wasn't that good up on there, that people didn't really like it. But with the Warner Brothers one, I mean, they could do the debunked a Wonder Woman game that was supposed to be in the veins of Shadow Mordor, where they have like the different.
I think the only way they do the Wonder Woman is if they get Gal Gadot as the capture.
The capture of it.
Day one pre-order that. So.
Yeah, well, they would probably do the different costumes and skins like they did.
If they put her in the different costumes and things like that, I'd pre-order day one on that one.
Maybe they should do a DC fighting game, maybe just strictly DC.
That's where I
was. Not like that DC versus Mortal Kombat.
I think they should do that.
Bring that one back.
But maybe they should do it like because isn't the Injustice isn't Mortal Kombat as well, so maybe they should do Injustice versus Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, because Injustice is supposed to be just all DC, but they add some Mortal Kombat characters too.
In Injustice, did they have Mortal Kombat characters?
Yeah, because in one of them they had Joker, and one of them they had Scorpion.
But it wasn't all.
It wasn't like
characters.
All.
Yeah, so then they could do that. Like instead of making Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, they can do like a Mortal Kombat versus Injustice and make a fighting game that way.
Yeah,
it would be cool if they made it in the realm of like they did like Mortal Kombat cross Injustice, like they did Street Fighter cross Tekken. It'd be cool if they did it in a realm like that,
or even do like the old school graphics, like the Mortal Kombat, like Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. And do it like that vein where you can have like that old school skin and stuff like that.
That'd be interesting.
That would be cool though too, because with this Mortal Kombat collection one, they have the net code, so you can play like the Game Boy Advance one online against somebody, which you never were able to do that before.
That'd be interesting.
So they made that up on there, so that looks pretty weird. But I mean, what's the likelihood, do you think, that Sony is actually going to buy Warner Brothers? Because Warner Brothers did just now separate between Discovery and Warner Brothers now to try to make it more interesting in selling it.
Well, I think the only way they get, I think likely, I would say probably like 85%. And the only reason why is because I think Sony really wants the HBO. So if they don't get the HBO, then I don't think it goes through. I don't think they just want the gaming.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it said movies and TV.
Because they want the movies, but it comes down to like, well, can they get the streaming service and things like that and start adding, because then you got to think they're going to want to add like HBO Max to your PlayStation, be able to raise the price like that and things like that.
Yeah,
so
to go add it to them.
I think if they can get the HBO catalog for a good price, I think Sony buys the whole division, and Warner Brothers, they'll get the games. But I also do think though that there will probably be a lot of layoffs at Warner Brothers, because they're not gonna, like, they're gonna buy the company, and unless there's like several games on the pipeline, they're not gonna put them all in the different.
Do you think that they keep the name, or is it going to be like Warner Brothers Sony, or Sony Warner Brothers?
I think Warner Brothers keeps the name for the gaming division. I think they keep the name also for the movies,
like for the
because
movies
you got to think Warner Brothers is iconic.
Yeah, it is iconic.
So they're not going to change it as like a Sony Warner Brothers. I think they'll keep it as like a subdivision of their movies, like as Warner Brothers.
MGM is bought out by Amazon, so now it's just all Amazon movies.
Yeah, no, I think.
And so like Amazon now owns 007.
Because you got to think of the different, like, the history of Warner Brothers. It doesn't make sense if Sony's going to just like change the name. If they buy the division, just change the name and say, okay, now we're going to call it Sony. With the history, you think when you're going through like the Universal Studios and you're looking at all the Warner Brothers stuff, like they're going to just change that all of a sudden?
That'll be weird though, because now if they own like the Universal Studios and stuff like that, now it's kind of like they're Disney now. Because now, like, you know, Disney has their studios, and then they have their movie and TV, and they own a lot of the stuff. Now Sony's gonna have their own like little theme park, so that would be totally weird, because Universal has Mario. So in a sense, like, if they do the movies and film, then they technically will own Mario.
Yeah.
And so like that's just crazy.
So it's like you're walking around like the Warner Brothers backlot in the studios, and they're going to be like, these are Sony backlots now, like. So I think it makes more sense, like, if they buy it, they keep it as the Warner Brothers name, because of how iconic, because Warner Brothers is essentially more famous than Sony Pictures.
Yeah.
So you want to keep Warner Brothers name, and then if you're making movies, it's I'm making a movie under the Warner Brothers brand, I'm making it under the Sony brand, and you gotta keep them both separate.
Yeah,
keep
because Sony has like TriStar or whatever.
Yeah, and
like
keep
that.
what makes Warner Brothers popular, what made them successful, and then keep what made Sony successful. So I think you keep them separate still. So
yeah, well, that's all the news that we have today up on there. You can find me. We do this podcast every week up on that. It's, the Roundtable Podcast. If I didn't say before, I believe this is episode 9 on the podcast. So sorry I didn't do the introduction up on that. That's the only one that I do. I also have a food and drink channel that I need to get back into, showing off the special drinks and foods and stuff like that. We get back into that channel. I'm thinking of other channels of maybe coming up with too. I have a loot box one that I can show off, like Yu-Gi-Oh cards or whatever, the ones I bought in the loot box up on there. Robert Wheeler Gaming, he has his roundup one every week. What other ones?
I'm a news channel. I do collection videos. I do deep dives into different trophy games. Right now I have a series I'm doing, Platinum Retirement, where I'm trying to reach max trophy level, but I chronicle games as I'm going through there. So I have a video that's dropping today of Final Fantasy 16, and I chronicle my journey through Final Fantasy 16 and as a trophy hunter, as I'm slowly getting to retirement, going over those games. My news channel, Robert's Roundup. I talk about weekly news, weekly JRPG things that are coming out, as well as I have collection videos showing off my collection of different things. There might be a collection coming out since the new Death Stranding controller came out. I might show off my collection of controllers that I have, the rarer ones that are probably more expensive. I don't know yet, because nobody wants to see just the camo controller that's like, I bought that, but ones that are harder to find and things like that. So deep dive. I also go into try to do some thrift shopping. I have a video on talking about old PS3s and what's on there. So there are a lot of things that we're going over, but check it out.
Yeah. So just subscribe to our channels up there. We're trying to build it, trying to make it big so we can do live streams and giveaways and stuff like that for all of our followers and stuff like that. So just continue to support this channel and try to make us big, because we are trying to claim ourselves as the #1 gaming podcast out there, even though there's tons of gaming podcasts out there, but we're the #1s.
Yeah, and we can upgrade. I mean, we could get a better backdrop and do all that, but you know what? We just need your support. Follow us, like, share, subscribe, both of our channels. I'm excited to make videos every week for you guys to be able to check it out. So, we just thank you for everything. Thank you for watching. God bless you guys, and remember,
never stop gaming.
Keep gaming.
Yep. Well, see you.
And frozen.